Hello everyone, my name is Paige and this is The Page Turner. Today I want to do a very special video that's probably going to be very long, but I really want to do a bookshelf tour. So as most people know, I usually film here behind this bookshelf, but there's also two other bookshelves in my room right behind the camera, so I want to go through all of them, talk about books that I've read and have not read, and just kind of show you an idea of what's on my shelves. So like I said, this might be pretty long, so let's jump right into it. So I'm going to start with the bookshelf that most people usually see when I film videos, which is this one here, and it's also the biggest one, as you can see from all these shelves, and there's a lot to get through. So let's get started. I'm going to start in this upper corner right here. So as you can tell, this is all Markus Zusak books. I'm a huge fan of Markus Zusak. I talk about him all the time. The Book Thief is one of my favorite books. But I'm going to just talk about these knickknacks real quick. These are my Beatles Funko Pops. This is George, Ringo, and John. I don't have Paul because he's really hard to find and quite expensive actually. So I just have these three. Even John Lennon was kind of hard to find because I know he's quite expensive too. So eventually I'll get Paul and he'll sit right here with the rest of them. So like I mentioned, this is my Markus Zusak shelf. I have all of my copies of The Book Thief, and I'm slowly collecting more of Bridge of Clay because I love this book, but it just recently came out, so they're slowly coming out with more editions. So over here on the left-hand side, this is the 10-year anniversary edition of The Book Thief, and then I have my British copy of Bridge of Clay, my American copy of Bridge of Clay, my ARC of Bridge of Clay, and then this is my ARC of The Book Thief. This is just another edition of The Book Thief. These are both first editions. This one is actually first edition, first printing of The Book Thief. This one is the movie cover. This one is also the paperback anniversary edition of The Book Thief. And then the one right next to it, right here, this is the first copy I ever bought of The Book Thief. So this one's like probably one of the most special to me. This is a copy I bought in Liverpool. This one is really actually very interesting. I get a lot of questions about this. This is the Japanese version of The Book Thief, so that's super cool. I really like this cover. It's really beautiful. And then the one next to that is the German version, which my grandparents have both read because they speak German, they read German, and I hear it's actually even better in German because the whole story takes place in Germany. I wish I had like a better understanding of the German language so that I could read this, but that's not going to happen. But this is such a cool edition and I really love that. This is another one I bought in England. Again, another one I bought in England, and then I have my copy of I Am the Messenger and Fighting Reuben Wolf. Fighting Reuben Wolf is the only one on this shelf that I haven't read, but the rest of them, obviously, I've all read. So, and a lot of these are signed too. There's only like 3 or 4 that are not signed, which is really, really awesome. So moving down this way, this is just kind of a mishmash of a bunch of different books. I just recently reorganized, so some of these are kind of new on the shelf and I'm probably not going to keep them up here. I need to reorganize again. But yeah, there's a lot of interesting knickknacks up here too. This little duck is something that my boyfriend won for me in one of those claw machines. And it's been in London with me for a while, so I finally brought it back home. And then this mug is something that one of my bosses gave to me when I worked at the writing center at my undergrad university. She gave that to me as a parting gift. It was really, really sweet. And then my sister got this moose for me when she went to Canada, so he just sits up there. Very cute. Okay, so as far as this shelf, I've read The Star-Touched Queen, which I really, really enjoyed. I haven't read the sequel yet, and I haven't read the stories either, but I really need to because I hear really good things about them. I also hear really good things about the Queen of Tearling series. I found this other copy at a used bookstore, so I've trying to get all of those too. Also hear really good things about the Claudia Gray 1,000 Pieces of You series, but I haven't read that either, as well as these Broken Stars series. I also hear this is really good. Everyone also says really good things about the Diviners, but I haven't read that either. I have read Forbidden. This is by Siri James and her son, Ryan M. James. I love Siri James's work. There'll be more books by her as we go along, but I really love this. I think I originally read it in like a day because I just enjoyed it so much. Uprooted, another one I've heard really good things about, but haven't read. Damsel, haven't read that one. Labyrinth Lost, The Reader, Brightly Woven. This is like Alexander Bracken's first book, I think. I bought this online used before signing, but it didn't arrive in time, so she wasn't able to sign it. And then we have my V.E. Schwab books here. So Darker Shade of Magic I've read, and then Conjuring of Light, Gathering of Shadows, Vicious, This Savage Song, Our Dark Duet and City of Ghosts. I really enjoy the UK editions much better than the US ones, so that's why they look a little bit different, and they're usually actually cheaper, but they're just so beautiful, and they all, you know, match so perfectly together, even when they're not like a part of the same series, as you can tell. So I'm missing the sequel to Vicious, but I really need to get it, I think, when I go back to London. This is the Captive Prince trilogy, which I love. I read through the whole thing in my undergrad, like, very, very quickly. And I just really enjoy it. I hope C.S. Pacat comes out with more books because those are just fantastic. Moving down to this shelf, these are some of my favorite series, which I'm going to talk about in a second, but I love how they all just look so nice together. Some interesting knickknacks up here. I got this crown, actually a publisher sent it to me. These little figurines from Toy Story. When I worked at Disneyland, someone had left these at the ride and they were in the Lost and Found, and they were basically just going to go in the trash, so I took them. And then this little Pluto figurine was something that I won when we were doing training for Disney because I answered a question correctly, so they all just sit together. This little Vision figurine is something that my sister gave me for Christmas one year. And then this key up here is my Disneyland key. I bought this when I was still working at Disney because I knew afterwards I would want something that kind of reminded me of Disneyland, and, like, you know, Disney has been such a huge part of my life since I stopped working there and when I was working there too, so I just really like this one. It's actually meant to be an ornament, but obviously I'm not using it as that. Okay, so again, starting over here on the left hand side, we have my Arcs of Renegades and Arch Enemies. I've read Renegades, but I didn't particularly like it that much, so that's why I haven't read Arch Enemies yet, but I'm hoping that the series gets a little bit better, just because I loved her Lunar Chronicles series so much, so I've read all of them. Those were amazing. I really, really liked them. So these are all my hardcovers of the Lunar Chronicles, and then the first 3 arcs that they made for Cinder, Scarlet, and Cress, and I love, I mean, there's like no cover on them, but I just love the simplicity of the arcs. They're just really nice. And then there's the Wires and Nerve Volume 1 and 2. I've also read these. This is like the sequel to the end of the series. But the graphic novels pretty much follow Eco, who is Cinder's robot friend. I don't want to say anything more than that because you really have to have read the series to really understand the graphic novels. So yeah, these are really awesome and fun, and I really enjoy those. This is my copy of The Scorpio Races by Maggie Stiefvater. I haven't read that yet. My arc of the Raven Boys. I'm trying to get the arcs of Dream Thieves and Blue Lily, Lily Blue, but no luck yet on those. But I've read the entire series of the Raven Cycle, and I love it. I just, yeah, I can't wait for her next book coming out, which is All Call Down the Hawk or something like that. I haven't read All the Crooked Saints yet. I heard some very, very mixed reviews about this when it came out, so I haven't tackled that one yet. My Marie Lu books, or some of them, this is the Legend series, haven't read that yet. Part of the Young Elite series, also haven't read that yet, but again, I hear really good things. This shelf is usually pretty packed, but it's looking a little sparse right now just because I'm in sort of the middle of reorganizing everything. But 2 interesting knickknacks. I have this card that one of my friends sent me that has been on my bookshelf like ever since she sent it to me, because I really like this quote, "May you be happy always." It's just really sweet. And then this is the Pink Floyd pig. His name is Algie. That I bought at the Pink Floyd exhibit in London when I went 2 years ago, and it was just an amazing exhibit, and of course I had to buy the pig because he's just so iconic. So a couple arcs on this bookshelf. I have All We Could Have Been by T.E. Carter. T.E. Carter is one of my favorite authors. I haven't read this one just yet, but there's another book that we'll come to in a little bit that I just absolutely love. The Stars We Steal is just something I recently got in the mail, as well as Candle in the Flame. This time will be different, and as many nows as we can get. These are all coming out fairly soon, except for Stars We Steal, that's coming out in 2020. But I really need to get to these because I've heard really good things about Candle in the Flame, and the other ones just sound super interesting. And then over here, so this is the book I was talking about by T.E. Carter. I Stopped Somewhere is amazing. It was my favorite book of 2018. And it's just so heartbreaking and amazing, and I don't know, I just love it. Everyone has to read this book because it's just so, so good. I got an arc of this from the publisher, which again, you'll see in a little bit, but I just had to buy a physical copy too because I love it to pieces. I also have Emma Mills's Foolish Hearts. I love this book because it's like kind of raised. I don't know if you can really tell, but it's textured, and I really like this cover. I've said this before, she always has really interesting covers, so that's super cool. I got some Star Wars books here. So this is Lost Stars by Claudia Gray, and then Leia, Princess of Alderaan, also by Claudia Gray. I think about this book after Carrie Fisher died, because I wanted something about Princess Leia, but I haven't read either of these yet. I probably will soon because my boyfriend started working at Star Wars Galaxy Edge at Disneyland, so now we're talking about Star Wars all the time. But yeah, I really need to get to that one. Four Dead Queens, Sky in the Deep by Adrienne Young. Another book I hear really, really great things about. Welcome to Night Vale. This is sort of a companion to the podcast. I really enjoy the podcast. I haven't listened to the entire thing. I always start it and then stop. But I hear the audiobook for this is really good because obviously they've done a podcast, so the audiobook would be really good. But I really want to get to this. And then I have Stalking Jack the Ripper, a series that people really love, but I just haven't picked up or gotten to yet, so I really need to do that. And then moving right down again, we have this shelf that has a lot of favorites on here as well, which I'll talk about. This is my Princess Anna Funko Pop. I love Frozen, and Princess Anna is my favorite, so she's here. And then in the back here is my little tiny poster that when we went to go see Avengers Endgame, so I didn't really know where to put it in my room, so I just put it back here, but I kind of like how it looks with all the gray, so quite nice. We have this book here, which I made in Shutterfly for my boyfriend. It just has a bunch of pictures that are from our first couple months when we were dating and stuff, so I made that for him for his birthday last year, and he really enjoyed that, and I made one for myself as well. So then we have my arcs of Strange the Dreamer and Muse of Nightmares by Laini Taylor. I haven't read anything by her yet, but everyone says she writes really, really good books, so I really need to get to that. And Ember in the Ashes and Torch Against the Night. I've read both of these by Saba Tahir. I love these books, so these are also both signed. I really like this series. I didn't like Reaper at the Gates as much, but I think I just kind of need to give it a reread, because maybe I don't know, maybe I just need to reread the entire series. And we have Enchantment of Ravens and Sorcery of Thorns, both by Margaret Rogerson. This is one of my favorite covers of all time, and I really, really love this book too. So this is one that I was thinking the other day that I need to give this a reread. Margaret Rogerson writes really, really good books, so I'm excited to see if she'll put out another one soon, even though Sorcery of Thorns just came out. And then I have the DC Icons arcs, so Wonder Woman and Batman. I don't have Superman or Catwoman just because I'm not super interested in reading those. This was the first book by Leigh Bardugo I think I'd ever read. And I really, really love her writing. I actually really enjoy this Wonder Woman book too. I think I read it before I saw the movie or something like that, but really enjoyed it. And then the Batman one, I always laugh when I think about this book because it was just so much fun to read. I read it so quickly, and this was the first Marie Lu book that I had ever read, so yeah, I just really enjoyed this one. Okay, now we're going into the Leigh Bardugo region, as you can tell. So I have Language of Thorns, my Arc of Six of Crows, which is very, very treasured. I wish it had the black sprayed edges like the book does, but oh well. Six of Crows and Crooked Kingdom, I've read both of those. Love them. These are amazing. Also another series I need to reread. Haven't read King of Scars yet, but love this cover. So shiny and gold. I just really like it. I really am interested in reading her new adult book that's going to be coming out soon, which is Ninth House. I haven't read the Shadow and Bone series yet, but again, hear really good things, and I really need to get to it. Darkest Minds, I've read all of them except for In the Afterlight, The Darkest Legacy, and Through the Dark, so I've only read the first two. This is my Darkest Minds arc, which is also something that's very, very prized. I would like to get the Never Fade one, but again, no luck as far as books for trade goes, so I have to keep trying. Then I read The Passenger when that first came out. That's my arc of it. I didn't enjoy that one as much as Darkest Minds, but it was still pretty good, and I haven't read Wayfarer yet, which is the sequel. Okay, so now we're getting into the shelves that have a ton of books on them, but of course I'll talk about the knickknacks first. So this is a memory jar that my boyfriend made for me. He threw me a going away party before I moved to London, and a bunch of people just threw little memories in here, and I read them every so often. They're just really sweet and remind me of really good times we had when I was working at Disneyland. And then this little figurine is something that I got when I went to China in high school for 2 weeks, which was an amazing experience. I don't remember if I bought this or if someone gave it to me, but yeah, she's been sitting on my bookshelf ever since, so super, super cute. Okay, so as you can tell, this is just packed full of ARCs. I personally really like ARCs just because they fit so nicely together like this. Obviously, finished copies are beautiful when they come out and all of that, but for ease of storing books, I just really like them. So let's go through these. I have all the Sandhya Menon books, so When Dimple Met Rishi, From Twinkle with Love, and There's Something About Sweetie. I've read all of these. Love them. Love Sandhya Menon's work. She is just a really fun author and writer. So, and I think 2 of these are signed too. I've met her once before. And then I have Tell Me How You Really Feel and Not the Girls You're Looking For by Amina May Safi. I've read Not the Girls You're Looking For, but not Tell Me How You Feel just yet, which is coming out this month in June. So I really need to get to that. Amina May Safi is also a really fun author to talk to. I met her at the LA Times Festival of Books 2 years ago, I think, and she said that I was the first one to ask her to sign a book because I had the ARC with me. And I think she wrote that in there too. And then this came out on my birthday. So yeah, I just really love talking to her. And then I have my Marine Goo books. I haven't read any of these. I Believe in a Thing Called Love, The Way You Make Me Feel, and then her most recent one, Somewhere Only We Know. Every time I look at these though, I get these songs stuck in my head, which is kind of funny. The book I was talking about earlier, I Stopped Somewhere by T.E. Carter. Amazing, amazing, amazing. I love this book. Dear Martin by Nick Stone, also one of my favorite books of all time. She's an incredible author too. I haven't read Odd One Out yet, but I'd really like to. Down here, also some of my favorites, A Girl Like That and The Beauty of the Moment by Tanaz Bathina. I loved A Girl Like That. It's one of the most amazing, incredible books ever. If you're going to read I Stopped Somewhere, also read A Girl Like That because they kind of go well together. And then The Beauty of the Moment was also really good. And then up here, I have my Jennifer E. Smith books. I'm a huge fan of Jennifer E. Smith. I've read all of these except for Field Notes on Love, This Is What Happy Looks Like, and Windfall. So I've read Geography of You and Me, Statistical Probability of Love at First Sight, and Hello, Goodbye, and Everything in Between. I love all of her books. Another really fun author. I need to get to these other ones because I haven't read anything by her in a while. Let's Talk About Love and If It Makes You Happy by Claire Kahn. I haven't read either of these yet, but I hear really good things about both of them, so I need to get to those. Always Never Yours and If I'm Being Honest by Emily Wibberley and Austin Siegmund Broca. Another 2 books that I haven't read yet. These authors are married in real life, and they just write really fun romances together, so that's kind of fun. And then To All the Boys I Loved Before by Jenny Han. And then we have On the Come Up by Angie Thomas. I won this on Epic Reads' website, so thank you very much, Epic Reads. And then I have my other Emma Mills ARCs, which are This Adventure Ends and Famous in a Small Town. Haven't read either of these. I also haven't read On the Come Up, but I've read To All the Boys I Loved Before. Emma Mills, I hear really good things about her work, so I really need to read something by her. Fury Born by Claire Legrand. I haven't read this yet. Also heard mixed things, but I heard that Kingsbane, the sequel, is pretty good. A Court of Thorns and Roses by Sarah J. Maas. As most people know, I always say this, but I did my undergrad thesis on A Court of Thorns and Roses and compared it to the Beauty and the Beast Disney film and then also the original fairy tale. So it was like an analysis of how fairy tales have kind of evolved over time and if they're feminist, blah, 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 whatever. But yeah, an ARC that someone gave to me that is actually one of my most prized possessions just because of the amount of time and effort that I put into my thesis. So we'll actually see my copy of A Court of Thorns and Roses later, and it's all marked up. And then The Ruin of Kings by Jen Lyons. I haven't read this yet. This is a huge book that has tiny, tiny print, so I need to find time to get to this one. Emergency Contact by Mary H.K. Choi, one of my favorite books of all time. The audiobook is amazing, and this is hilarious and wonderful, and oh, I just love it so much. Love Letters to the Dead by Ava Delaria. My roommate in college and one of my best friends, Alicia, she told me to read this, and I did, and loved it, and I got to meet Ava Delaria at the LA Times Festival of Books, and she signed my book for me, so that was very nice. Internment by Samira Ahmed. I haven't read that one, but I have read Love, Hate, and Other Filters by her, which was really good, so I really need to get to Internment because I hear that one's actually better. I've read Everything by Nicola Yoon. I really like the movie, really like the book, but I haven't read Sun is Also a Star, and I need to get to it before the movie comes out. I've read Going Off Script and Queens of Geek by Jen Wild, but I haven't read The Brightsiders yet. Going Off Script and Queens of Geek were amazing. Brightsiders, I'm sure, is just as good. I just haven't had time to get to it yet. In Search of by Ava Delaria, I don't know why those aren't next to each other. Haven't read that one yet, but she also signed that one for me. Dumplin' I read by Julie Murphy. I really, really enjoyed that. I love the movie too. It's really fun. But I haven't read Puddin' or Ramona Blue yet by her, so I really need to get to those as well. As you can tell, there's like a lot of books that I'm like, oh my gosh, I really need to get to these, so I'll do that eventually. Okay, now we're getting down here to the lower shelves, so I have a couple more Funko Pops down here. This is my Moana Funko Pop. I love the movie Moana, so I had to get one of her, of course. And then my Funko Pops from Captain America, the Winter Soldier, when that first came out, so I love these. I love Cap's little shield. It's so cute, so I have to keep them together, of course. Okay, so over here on the left-hand side, we have the Crazy Rich Asians trilogy. So Crazy Rich Asians, China Rich Girlfriend, Rich People Problems. Read all of these. Love them. Love the movie. Can't wait for the next one to come out. I'm so, so excited. Then we have my Nina LaCour books. Everything Leads to You, The Disenchantments, and Hold Still, which the publisher sent to me a couple months ago with this new re-release cover, which I love, which matches the We Are Okay arc that I have, which we'll see a little bit later. I've read We Are Okay, but I haven't read any of these yet, so I really need to get to them. And then some Morgan Matson books, Second Chance Summer and Amy and Roger's Epic Detour. Haven't read either of these. I've met Morgan Matson though, and she's amazing, really fun. All the Bright Places by Jennifer Niven. Haven't read this one yet, but this is signed. I can't remember how I ended up getting this. Again, another book I need to read before the movie comes out. Fangirl by Rainbow Rowell. I read this my freshman year of college, loved it, and it really resonated with me, so I really, really enjoy this one. The Unexpected Everything and Since You've Been Gone, Since You've Been Gone by Morgan Matson. I haven't read either of those yet. P.S. I Still Love You. This is the sequel to All the Boys I've Loved Before. Haven't read this one yet, but I need to get to it again before the movie comes out on Netflix. Layla and the Happily Ever After. Anna and Lola are over there. I don't know why they're not together, but this is the series by Stephanie Perkins. I've read this one, and I've also read Anna and Lola. I think Lola was my favorite. Isla was my least favorite, actually, so maybe that's why she's over here. You Know Me Well. This is by Nina LaCour and David Levithan. Authors that both, obviously, I've heard really great things about, but I haven't read this one yet. I also have not read Another Day and Will Grayson by David Levithan, and then this one also is by John Green. The Duff, Designated Ugly Fat Friend. I read this in high school, so it's been a while since I've read a Cody Keplinger book, and I haven't read Shut Out yet, but I really enjoyed Duff from what I remember. I'll Give You the Sun by Jandy Nelson. Amazing. Love this book. It's just so, so good. Skies Everywhere, also by Jandy Nelson. Haven't read that one yet, but I hear additionally really, really good things. And then we have A Little Something Different by Sandy Hall. Haven't read that one yet. Me, Earl, and The Dying Girl, also a book I hear really good things about. My mom keeps trying to get me to read that one, but I haven't picked it up yet. And I guess there's a movie that was pretty good. And then there's Beauty Queens by Libba Bray. Haven't read that. First Love by James Patterson. Also something that sounds really good, and I haven't read it yet. Silver Linings Playbook by Matthew Quick. I haven't read this yet, but I really love the movie. And this is signed. I met Matthew Quick back when I was living in Denver for my undergrad. And he was really nice and signed this for me, so that was awesome. And then of course we have Anna and Lola, which are amazing, and I love those. Check Please by, oh god, let's try pronouncing this, Negatsi Yukazu. I read Check Please, and I still read it on Tumblr, but I was so excited when it was going to be released in a graphic novel format. So I picked this up at Y'all West, I think 2 years ago, and was so excited that I got an arc of it, so that's really fun. We have Ghost by Jason Reynolds. I love Jason Reynolds' work. He's one of my favorite authors of all time. This is signed. I've met him like 3 times, I think. He always is at these signings that I go to, so yeah, he's super, super interesting to hear him speak, and I don't know, he's just a really great speaker and author and writer and just wonderful guy to talk to, so love his work. Okay, this is another one of my super packed ARC shelves that we'll get through. First off though, this is my cast member ears. When you start working for Disney, they give you a free set of ears as kind of like a yay, like you're now working for the company. So after I got these, I went into the parks and had them embroider cast member on it because I obviously wanted to remember my time working there, and I love these so much. And then I also have this little lamp that Chuck Palahniuk sent me. I'll tell that story when I get to Fight Club on my shelf, but yes, this is from Chuck Palahniuk. Okay, so we got a lot on here. First off, at the top here, we have Love from A to Z by S.K.L.E. Haven't read that yet, but God, I love this cover so much. I'll have to show you guys. Like, oh, it's so cute. I love all the blue tones that are on here, and oh, I just love it so, so much. So I can't wait to read that one. 7 Days of You by Cecilia Vanesi. If I'm saying that correctly. I read this before it came out back in 2017 and really liked it. Dark of the West by Joanna Hathaway. Haven't read that yet. Actually, I think a lot of these I haven't read yet. So Empire of Sand, also haven't read. Language of Fire, haven't read. Night Music, I haven't read. Also a really amazing cover that I'll have to take out and show you. Look at that cover. Just amazing. I love it. I love the color tones and everything. I Want to Be Where You Are. Haven't read that one yet. How the Light Gets In. Also haven't read that yet. To Be Honest, something I really want to get to soon. Another amazing cover, but I haven't read it yet. American Panda, haven't read that one yet. It's Not Like It's a Secret by Misa Suigara. I'm probably saying that wrong, haven't read that one. Broken Things by Lauren Oliver, also haven't read that. Now we have The Nowhere Girls. I heard this is really good, but obviously haven't read it yet. Gentleman's Guide to Vice and Virtue, another one that I hear really good things and I haven't read it yet. Librarian of Auschwitz, haven't read that. The Winner's Crime and The Winner's Curse, I haven't read either of these yet. Tiger at Midnight, Vengeance Road, This Is Where It Ends, Invictus and Blood for Blood, which are both by Ryan Groudon. Haven't read any of those, so this seems to be my ARC shelf where I haven't really read much of these. Then we have Girls of Paper and Fire. I haven't read this yet. Gilded Wolves, I haven't read this yet, but Roshani Chokshi, she's the one that wrote Star Touch Queen, and I really like that, so I need to get to that soon. Crown of Feathers, also haven't read that yet. Kingdom of Copper is the sequel to City and Brass, or City of Brass, sorry. Haven't read either of those. And then up here we have Jason Reynolds's For Everyone. This is kind of like a speech sort of thing, like, or poems. I'm not 100% sure, but I've read this, really good. That one's also signed. The Unlikelies by Carrie Firestone, haven't read that. There's Someone Inside Your House by Stephanie Perkins, haven't read that. Grace and Fury, have not read. You'd Be Mine by Erin Hahn, I've read this. Sadie by Courtney Summers, haven't read that. I love Wednesday Books' YA titles. They're amazing, so I really need to get to Sadie because I hear it's good. I actually hear it's better as an audiobook, so I have to pick that up. The Rest of Us Just Live Here by Patrick Ness, haven't read it. The Names They Gave Us and When We Collided, both by Emery Lord, haven't read either of these. Tyler Johnson Was Here, love this cover, haven't read it. Geography of Lost Things by Jessica Brody. I really like Jessica Brody's work, so I need to get to that one. Once and For All by Sarah Dessen. My sister loves Sarah Dessen, but I haven't read that one yet. And then Words in Deep Blue, also one that I have not read yet, so yeah, I really need to get to a lot of these. This is another shelf that's kind of in the process of reorganization. As you can tell, there's not really a lot on here, and it's just kind of spaced out a little funny. But my sister made me this perler bead of Captain America because she knows I love him a lot, so that's super cute. And then this frame is from Disney World. Also, this picture is from Disney World. This is my boyfriend when we were on the People Mover. And then these yellow 3D glasses are from the ride I worked at Disneyland, which was Toy Story Midway Mania. And so I grabbed some of the 3D glasses before I left my job, unfortunately, and got to keep those as like a little reminder and souvenir of working there. Okay, so as I said, I don't have much on this shelf, but there are a couple good ones. So You Are Here by Jennifer E. Smith, as I mentioned earlier. I really love her work, but I haven't read this one yet. Memoirs of a Teenage Amnesiac. I haven't read that, but I've watched the, what is it, like the Japanese movie or something, like a long time ago. How to Love by Katie Katugno, if I'm saying that properly. I haven't read that. Pushing the Limits by Katie McGarry. This is signed, but also haven't read that. Forbidden Wish by Jessica Curry, haven't read that. That one's also signed. Rebel of the Sands, haven't read that. Heart of Betrayal, Kiss of Deception, also signed, haven't read those. Codename Verity by, is it Alison Wine or Elizabeth Wine? Haven't read this one. Out of Easy by Ruta Sepetys. I hear this is really amazing, but I haven't read it. Speak I've read by Laurie Halse Anderson. Everyone should read Speak. It's amazing. And Twisted, also by Laurie Halse Anderson. These are both signed, so that's really cool. And then All the Rage by Courtney Summers. I've read other stuff by her, but not that one yet, and I hear that's one of her best. Little Brother by Cory Doctorow. This one's signed. Jason Reynolds, When I Was the Greatest, also signed. Haven't read either of those. Me and Mr. Darcy. This, I love this book. I've had this on my shelf forever. This is by Alexandra Potter. I really, really love it. Simon versus the Homo Sapiens Agenda. I've read this, really love it, love the movie. Three Dark Crowns, haven't read that one yet, but again, I hear it's really good. The Hate U Give, this is the UK ARC edition, and then the UK paperback edition that I bought in London on like one of my first trips there. I've read this, love it, love the movie, amazing. Okay, this is the last packed shelf of ARCs, so we'll try to get through this as quickly as possible. This P is actually from when my other roommate from college and another one of my best friends, Hannah, when she got married last year, and she asked me to be a bridesmaid, and of course I said yes, so this was just a little something she sent me, which was really sweet. And these rocks are from different beaches that I've been to in California, San Francisco, I think, and then there's one from Washington or something that my parents brought back for me. I've been meaning for a while to make like a jar of rocks from beaches that I've been to, but I just haven't gotten around to it yet, and I always forget. So starting up in the left corner here, we have Royal Wedding by Meg Cabot. I love Meg Cabot's work, and I love the Princess Diaries series. I haven't finished the entire thing. Haven't read that one yet. Female of the Species by Mindy McGinnis. Haven't read that, but I hear it's one of her best. I Am Not Your Perfect Mexican Daughter. Another one I haven't read, but I hear it's really, really good. Genuine Fraud and We Were Liars, both by E. Lockhart. I read both of those and love them. I think I like Genuine Fraud more than We Are Liars. Last Boy and Girl in the World, haven't read that one. Over You by Emma McLaughlin and Nicola Krauss. I think that's their names. I honestly can't remember. Okay, so you can see that this ARC is pretty old. It's from 2012. This was the very first ARC that I ever got, and I won it on Epic Reads' website back before they changed their little things here at the bottom of their books. But yeah, this book is so special to me because it was the first one I ever won, and I just treasure it so much, and it was the first ARC I ever got, and I was so excited, and I was like, wow, this is like so cool, and you know, now I get a few every month, and it's just, I don't know, it's just a reminder for me that it's like, hey, remember back when like you were desperately trying to get ARCs, and I don't know, it's just a good feeling. And I love this book too. Dreamology, I've read that and really liked it. Roomies by Sarah Zahar and Tara Altabrano. Another one of the very, very first ARCs that I got because this came out in 2013. Love this book. It was the perfect thing to read before I went off to college, so loved that. Miriam Sharma, Hits the Road, haven't read that. Perfect 10, haven't read that. Boyfriend Bracket, Carols in Chaos, and Nothing Left to Burn. Haven't read any of these. Nothing Left to Burn takes place in California after a wildfire, so I really need to read that because last summer there were like tons of wildfires going on. Holding Up the Universe by Jennifer Niven. Haven't read this yet. Comics Will Break Your Heart by, I can't remember the first name, but Hicks. I haven't read this one yet. And then this book, which you can't see the cover of, is the Arc of Smoke in the Sun by Renee Ahidi. I always pronounce her name wrong. Love her work. There's a couple other right here, as you can see, they're all together, that I have. The Wrath in the Dawn is not an ARC, but is one of my all-time favorite books, and I love that one and Rose and the Dagger, so I had to keep those together. I haven't read Flame in the Mist yet, but I really want to, and then she has a new book coming out called The Beautiful that I also really want to get to. The Bells by Danielle Clayton. Haven't read this yet. I've heard kind of mixed things about it. Just One Day, my ARC of Just One Day, and then I Was Here and Where She Went. I haven't read any of these by Gail Forman, but I've met her and she's really nice, and all of these are signed, so that's really cool. Also have City of Saints and Thieves. Haven't read this one. Reign of the Fallen, The Bird and the Blade, and The Inexplicable Logic of My Life. Haven't read any of these yet. Nina LaCour, We Are Okay, I have read, and I really love. She signed this for me at the LA Times Festival of Books, which was really nice of her. Love this cover. This was the first book by her that I had read, and I really, really enjoyed it. And then we have Supermoon. I haven't read that. Defy the Worlds and Defy the Stars, both by Claudia Gray. Haven't read either of these. And then Replica and Ringer by Lauren Oliver. Haven't read those. The Graveyard Book by Neil Gaiman. This is a really cool ARC that I got through Books for Trade, so that's probably one of my oldest ARCs that I have, actually, because that's from 2008. The Pioneer, haven't read that. Warcross I have read, but I have not read Wild Card yet. I really enjoyed Warcross, so I think I'll really like Wild Card. And then Spinning Silver by Naomi Novik, but I haven't read that one yet either. Okay, so now we have made it to the very bottom, so I'm just going to go through these as well. These are my Star Wars Funko Pops that my mom gave me for Christmas last year, so we have Chewie and Rey, and of course Luke. I love these guys. Super, super cute. As always, starting on the left here, we have the first 3 illustrated editions of the Harry Potter series, and then the complete bound, unopened, beautiful. So when you see them all together, they make that image, which is just so wonderful. I love this. I got this when I was working at the Scholastic Warehouse. Actually, all of those are from Scholastic Warehouse. And then we have this book of London stories, which is just a bunch of different stories from in and around London that I got before I moved to London. Harry Potter and the Cursed Child, parts 1 and 2. And then And I Dark, I've read, obviously, all of these except for London stories. And then there's And I Darken and Bright We Burn by Kirsten White. Haven't read either of those yet. I've read The Bold Season by Samantha Shannon, and I love it. The main character and I have the same first name, so that's always fun. Afterworlds by Scott Westerfeld. Haven't read that yet. Daughter, Smoke and Bone, Days of Blood and Starlight. Haven't read either of those yet. The Princess, the Scoundrel, and The Farm Boy by Alexander Bracken I have read, and I really enjoy that. That's just a fun, quick read. My copy of Dumplin' by Julie Murphy that's signed. Love that book, as I talked about earlier. Prisoner of Night and Fog, I haven't read that. Stolen by Lucy Christopher, I have read, and love that book. I read that a long, long time ago, like probably my freshman year of high school or something. Some of my Lauren Oliver books, we have Panic, Before I Fall, and Vanishing Girls. Haven't read any of those, of course. Truth About Alice, I haven't read yet, and also have not read Moxie yet. Okay, so this is the last shelf on this bookshelf. And there are just a couple more books to go through. So I have my little Gamora Funko Pop. I really, really like Gamora, so she's down here. And then there's my Peace, Love, and Bacon card that I got for my birthday one year. As most people know, I love bacon. It's like always in my Twitter bio and my Instagram bio and all of that. Like I always say, like, I love bacon, so love having this on my shelf. Over here in this little box, I have some postcards that I bought in London. So I have like the Pink Floyd Prism, this is from the inside jacket of one of the vinyls from Pink Floyd, and then there's a postcard that my boyfriend sent me from British Columbia, one that he sent me from Alaska, and then of course the Pink Floyd cow from Metal, I think it is. Bought all of those in London at the exhibit as well. And then this little box over here I bought at a little store, and it just has a bunch of mementos in it from my first couple trips to London. Of course now I'm going to need like a much bigger box because I have so much more stuff now that I've lived there for a while. But yeah, I love this. Super, super cute. Okay, so Fight Club by Chuck Palahniuk. I said that I would talk about the lamp that he sent me, and yeah, so when I went to the LA Times Festival Books with my sister one year, I knew Chuck Palahniuk was going to be there, and so I obviously took my copy and we went and saw him speak, which was really fun. I told him when he was signing my book, I was like, hey, I really enjoyed Fight Club. It's just amazing. I actually wrote like 2 essays on the homoeroticism in Fight Club, the movie. So he was like, okay, well, if you, he gave me this envelope and he was like, if you follow all the instructions in here, you'll get a special gift. And I was like, oh my God, weird. Okay. But like, he didn't give one to everyone. So my sister and I were freaking out, and we were like, oh my God, you know, and basically all we had to do was send in this little card to like his office or something that said like, I don't even remember because it was like 2 years ago that we did this, but and then he sent back like all of this really cool stuff. So there was like the lamp, and there was a dog toy for my dog. There was rock thing that I'll show you guys later. I don't know. It was just like a bunch of really interesting stuff. There was soap, there was candy, there was confetti, like all this really cool stuff. So really, really fun and interesting that he did that actually. And then there were like a couple letters too, which I keep in here, that he signed. But yeah, I love Fight Club. It's one of my favorite movies and one of my favorite books. So that was super, super cool. And I have Stephen King's On Writing, which I read in one of my classes in my undergrad. I don't think I've read through the entire thing yet, but I've been meaning to. Every Anxious Wave, I haven't read this one yet, but it's about like music and vinyls, I think. And then I have Leaving Paradise, Return to Paradise, which I've both read by Simone Alcalis. I haven't read How to Ruin My Teenage Life just yet, but I absolutely love her books, so I really need to get to that one. Perfect Chemistry, Chain Reaction, Rules of Attraction are all part of the same series. Amazing. Love, love, love them. This is like one of my favorite series. I really, really love the Leaving Paradise series too. I need to reread all of these. Wild Cards I've read. I have not read Wild Crush yet though, which is the sequel. I need to get to those. The Unhoneymooners and Sweet Filthy Boy, both by Christina Lauren. Haven't read those yet. Oh, sorry, and my favorite, Half Night Stand. Haven't read any of those, but I hear really, really good things, so I really need to get to them. Aristotle and Dante Discover the Secrets of the Universe. Amazing. Yeah, I haven't read that one yet, but I've heard really good things. Salt of the Sea by Ruta Sepetys. Haven't read that. Paper Towns by John Green. Haven't read that one. Fault in Our Stars by John Green, which is signed. I've read that one. And then Harper Lee's Ghost Out of Watchmen, which is the sequel to Kill a Mockingbird. I've read that one. And then In the Pink, Not a Hunting Memoir. This is by Nick Sedgwick. It's about Nick and the time that he spent on tour with Pink Floyd. So very interesting book. And then Inside Out, A Personal History of Pink Floyd by Nick Mason, who's the drummer from Pink Floyd. Also a really interesting book, and super fun to read. Okay, so if you've made it this far, like, congratulations, because we just went through this entire bookshelf, which was a lot. So thank you for bearing with me. And then we need to move on to my other bookshelves. So these are the other bookshelves I was talking about. This is the first one that I will go through, and then there is one over here in the corner. So this is the other one that we're also going to go through. These are much smaller, so it should go a little bit more quickly, and I probably won't go through every single book like I did last time. But yeah, let's get started. So it's just going to be easiest for me to go through these top two shelves at the same time. I'll try to run through them very quickly. This chain thing here that runs along the length of the shelf was the rock thing that I was talking about that Chuck Palahniuk sent me. Yeah, kind of weird, but anyway. Then we have the Night World series by L.J. Smith. I love this series. I think there is zero hope that we're going to get the very last book because she never seems to be writing it. And I've been waiting like 10 years for it. Literally 10 years, so we'll see if that ever happens. Austin Land by Shannon Hale. I really like this book. It's really cute. The Marriage Bargain series by Jennifer Probst. I love Jennifer Probst's work. There's a couple other ones right here that you can see. This was the first series by her that I had read, and I flew through it. I love it. Patina by Jason Reynolds. This is the sequel to Ghost, also signed. Love, love, love this book. And of course, All American Boys, which is also signed. I love that one too. Going Over, this is a story about the Berlin Wall, which actually I should probably read soon because we're going to the Berlin Wall this August, so I should probably read that. And then a couple of Harry Potter books. So we got Quidditch Through the Ages, Fantastic Beasts, and Tales of Beetle and the Bard. I've read all of these, of course. Spindle's End by Robin McKinley. I love Robin McKinley's work. There's another book actually down further on the shelf that I have too. Love this. I need to reread it. The Missing Manuscript of Jane Austen by Siri James. I talked about Siri James earlier, and I love her writing, but I haven't read that one yet. The Color Project by Sierra Abrams. Sarah is one of my friends that I love, but I haven't read her book yet. I'm so sorry, Sierra. So I really need to get to that. And then Joan Didion, a collection of her stories that I got that is just so, so beautiful. And I love Joan Didion. She's one of my favorite writers. So I really need to get to more of the stories in here. I think I've read about half of them. I'm not 100% sure. So this is the copy of Court of Thorns and Roses I was talking about that is all like tabbed and highlighted. And so as you can see, there's just like tons of writing. It's like this on almost every single page, and each color means something different. It was actually really fun to analyze, but I got quite sick of it, so I think that's why I'm just kind of put off from it now, but that's okay. And then we have Play It As It Lays by Joan Didion. That's one of her fiction books that's really good. I Am Malala by Malala Yousafzai. Haven't read that one yet. And then Victoria, just a book about Queen Victoria that I also have not read yet. Moving on down, we have the Game of Thrones series. That's actually the Song of Ice and Fire series. Game of Thrones is over, but I haven't watched the last 2 episodes yet, so I still need to do that. I've read the first 2 books, haven't read the next 3. Really need to get to that. Gone with the Wind by Margaret Mitchell. I read this in middle school and loved it. Thornbirds, something that I read in high school and also really loved. Fahrenheit 451, love Fahrenheit 451. Catcher in the Rye, really like that one as well. To Kill a Mockingbird, I love To Kill a Mockingbird, read that freshman year of high school. Anne Frank, Diary of a Young Girl, really love that one. The Good Earth by Pearl S. Buck, I bought that after I came back from my trip to China, but haven't read that one yet. The Royal series by Nicole Chase, which I absolutely love, and I would really like to reread these soon. This is just a really fun romance series that I highly, highly recommend. Searching for Someday and Searching for Perfect. I can't remember if I've read Searching for Someday, because I thought I did, but then it's not marked on Goodreads, so I'm not sure. Again, by Jennifer Probst. Nocturne by Siri James, amazing. I love Nocturne. Runaway Harris and Summer Scandal, also by her. And I've read Runaway Harris, but not Summer Scandal yet. Again, another shelf that's kind of going under reorganization. But here I have all of my Penguin Monarchs. This is not every single one, and I'm not going to even read through all of them. But I have read William III and Mary II and Mary I. I'm currently reading Athelstan. I'm trying to read them in order, but sometimes I just want to read other ones. So yeah, love these. They're super cheap in England, so I picked up a bunch of them. This is my sash from when I graduated from my undergrad degree, and then just some book sleeves that my mom and my sister make, which I'll leave a link below for their shop. They're super, super high quality. I use them all the time. How to Swear, this is something that Alicia gave me for my birthday, and I haven't read that yet. And then The Pub, which is something that one of my best friends, Megan, gave me as a birthday gift before I left for London. This very, very dusty submarine is from when I went to go see the Cirque du Soleil Beatles show in Vegas for my 21st birthday, which I absolutely loved. And then I also got this mug there too. Oh, I love that show so much and I want to go see it again. And then this little bird right here is something that my boyfriend got in a Happy Meal when we were in London together, so he let me keep it. And I had it in London for a while, but I have to start bringing stuff home, so now he's there. This shelf doesn't have much on it, so I'm just going to go through it fairly quickly. On the left-hand side there, that's a little picture of Buddy Holly, who I love very, very much. And then there is a book right here of the Beatles, and then the Beatles anthology is right underneath it, which is all about the Beatles and their songs, their music, and the drama and everything about them. This is my fruits basket shelf. I'm not going to read through every single one because it's literally just 1 through 23. But on the left-hand side is the original mangas that came out individually, and then on the right-hand side are the new special edition ones that each volume has 2 in it. So I think there's a total of like 11 of the new special edition ones, but I haven't gotten all of them yet. So yeah, and then the book on top, that little white one, is Fruits Basket Another, which is kind of like the sequel to the manga series, but it's about their kids. So I haven't read that yet because I'd like to read through the series again. So yeah, I love this manga. I love the anime. They're re-releasing the anime, and they're going to do every single manga novel. So that's really exciting because when it first came out, they only did like the first 4 or so. Yeah, so I'm very, very excited about that. Okay, then this shelf down here is a couple interesting things. I have my Nora Roberts Bride Quartet series, which is one of my favorite series. I love that. California Dreams has a couple novels in it, but I haven't read that one yet. Something New, yeah, I've read Something New, which also has 2 novels in it. I love Nora Roberts' work. This is the McGregor Brides. I've read that one. I had to read the McGregor Grooms my freshman year of college, so for a class, so that was really fun. And then I've also read the Gabriella and Alexander Bennett and Camilla Royals of Cordina series. I love these as well. I really want to reread those. This is the other book by Robin McKinley that I was talking about, Rose Daughter, that's also really good. All-American Girl by Meg Cabot. Love that book. A Year in Europe by Rachel Hawthorne, and Love on the List. Love, love both of these. Love on the List is actually where I got the idea for the name for my blog, because there was a girl working in a bookstore and her name was Paige Turner, and she was like for some reason like operating under a fake name. I don't remember why, but I didn't realize it till I got to the very end of the book and I was like, oh, I get it. And that's where the inspiration came for The Page Turner, which is what I've called my blog ever since. Romancing the Stone by Joan Wilder. I love the movie and I really have been meaning to read the book, but I just haven't yet. Queen of Blood by Sarah Beth Durst. I actually picked this up in Cambridge like 2 weeks ago and I haven't read it yet, so I'll have to get to that one. Raisin in the Sun, I read in high school for a class, so that was really good. Rogue Angel, this is the first Rogue Angel book that I read and it was really good. Like each book is written by a different author and there's like 20 or 30 of them, so those are really fun. 1984 by George Orwell, also had to read that for a class, but I really enjoyed it. Outsiders, I really like that one. Brave New World was also something I had to read for a class and really enjoyed. Slaughterhouse-Five, I haven't read yet. Black Beauty by Anna Sewell. I've had this book forever, I think literally since like 2nd or 3rd grade, and I really have always liked the Black Beauty stories, so I've had that ever since. And then a couple Stephen King's book, Misery and Carrie. Misery, I really like the movie and it's really intense, so highly, highly recommend that, but I haven't read the book yet. And then Last of the Mohicans, I haven't read that either. And then down here at the bottom, we have a bunch of classics. Jane Austen, all of her books, another copy of Black Beauty. Great Gatsby, I had to read that for a class, but I really ended up loving it. Little Women, I love Little Women. Mark Twain, Adventures of Tom Sawyer, I've read that, but I haven't read Huckleberry Finn, which is the book next to it. The one next to that is 5 complete novels of Miss Marple. I think I've read like 3 or 4 of them. Pride and Prejudice, which is my favorite Jane Austen novel, and it's actually, the tattoo on my arm is from Pride and Prejudice. Evil Under the Sun and Murder at the Vicarage, both by Agatha Christie. I've read both of those and really like them. Tale of Despero by Kate DiCamillo was something that me and my sister read a lot growing up, and I really love that one. Jane Eyre by Charlotte Bronte, I've read that. Room with a View, I've also read that. The Pelican by Shakespeare, haven't read that yet. Brideshead Revisited, haven't read that yet, but I hear it's really good. The Awakening, haven't read that. Frankenstein, I've read that, really liked it. Cranford, I haven't read that one. Animal Farm by George Orwell, love Animal Farm, it's so good. And then Lord of the Flies, I haven't read that. And then my 2 favorite Shakespeares, which are Othello and Romeo and Juliet, so I really enjoy those. And then we have on the very end there Call of the Wild, and then a book about the Beatles, and I haven't read Call of the Wild, but I've read the Beatles one. This top shelf here has a bunch of books that were my mom's when she was growing up, and I've just kind of taken over them. The only one I've read is The Thornbirds, so I'm just gonna kind of skip over this shelf. Now this shelf also has a lot of really fun books on it. We have Trouble from the Start and The Boyfriend Project, both by Rachel Hawthorne. I really enjoyed Rachel Hawthorne's books growing up, and I've only read The Boyfriend Project. I haven't read Trouble from the Start yet, and I really liked it, so I really need to get to the other one. Teen Idol by Meg Cabot was one of my all-time favorite books growing up, and I love that one as well. And I also really like Falling for Romeo by Jennifer Lawrence. I've never heard anyone else talk about Jennifer Lawrence, but she writes really good stuff as well. These 3 books are some of my most prized possessions. They are the Inkheart ARCs, actually. I tried really, really hard to get these and managed to trade around for them on Books for Trade. And I'm so thrilled that I have them, because these were some of my favorite books when I was growing up, and it's just so wonderful to have the advanced copies of them, which are just gorgeous and stunning. This book here is Annie Between the States, and this is by L.M. Eliot. Another one of my favorite books growing up. It's like a Civil War novel where the girl is on the Confederate side and the guy that she ends up falling in love with is on the Union side. And I don't know, I just really enjoyed it growing up. I guess I've always really liked historical fiction. This book here is The Thief Lord. This is also by Cornelia Funk, or Funke, I think. She wrote the Inkheart series, but I really enjoyed The Thief Lord as well. This book was something that I got when I first started working at Disneyland. They gave everyone one of these when we were talking about California Adventure and the history of it, so we were meant to kind of like look at this and know some interesting things if anyone in the parks ever asked us. This book is the Night World Ultimate Fan Guide, so it goes along with the Night World series. It's so funny because it says includes an exclusive excerpt from the final book in the series, and I'm like, that's funny because that's the only part of the book I think we're ever gonna get, since it never seems like it's gonna be released. This book is Little Moments of Love, and this is by Katana Comics. She is on Instagram. I follow her on Instagram, and I love the comics that she draws and writes. It's always about her and her boyfriend, and I feel like they always kind of mimic what my boyfriend and I also do or are going through, so I always send them to him. But I just really like this book because there was some stuff in here that I hadn't seen before on her Instagram. If I Stay by Gail Forman, as I mentioned earlier, I haven't read this one yet. And then Between Shades of Grey by Rita Sepetys, also have not read that one yet. These are my Siri James books, and we have here The Lost Memoirs of Jane Austen, The Secret Diaries of Charlotte Bronte, and Dracula, My Love. The only one out of these I haven't read is Dracula, My Love, but I'd really like to because I think that it's going to be a really good book, actually. Gone Girl by Gillian Flynn. Haven't read this yet, but I love the movie. A Little Life by Hanya Yanagira. Another one that I've heard really good things about, but I haven't read yet. Woman Hollering Cleek by Sandra Cisneros. I haven't read this one yet, but I have read her The House on Mango Street, which I really, really loved. Bad Feminists. These are essays by Roxane Gay. I've met Roxane Gay and I got this signed, so that was really cool. She was just really interesting speaker to go see. The Year of Magical Thinking by Joan Didion. Haven't read this one yet. I heard it's kind of depressing. South and West by Joan Didion. Another one of my favorites by her. And then Fixed Ideas, America Since 9/11. I didn't enjoy this one as much as I thought I would, but it was super thin, so maybe I'll have to give it a reread someday. Roses by Leila Meacham is amazing, and I wish this book were longer because it's just so, so good. And I love the cover as well. It's just gorgeous. This is an adult book, but and on the front here it even says, like Gone with the Wind, as gloriously entertaining as it is vast. This is such a good book. And then we have also The Song of Achilles by Madeline Miller. Haven't read this one yet, but I've heard really good things. Innocent Traitor by Alison Ware, if I'm saying this name correctly. I love, love, love Alison Ware's work, so I can't wait to start this one. And then Mary Queen of Scots by John Guy. I just very recently finished this back when I was in London like 3 days ago, so this was really, really good. I love this cover too because it matches the actresses, obviously, from the movie, so love that. And then this little guy here is just a reading journal. This shelf has a mishmash of graphic novels, but over here on the left-hand side we have The Host by Stephanie Meyer. I actually really liked The Host. I think I liked it better than her Twilight series, and I really enjoy the movie as well, but I think there was supposed to be a sequel coming out like a long time ago, but I don't think we ever got it. I don't know. And then I have Mouse and Mouse 2, both volumes of it. Amazing, amazing graphic novel series that everyone should read. And then right next to that is Page by Page, which is about a girl that draws comics or something like that, but she operates under the name like Page Turner or something, so that's kind of ironic. And then In Real Life, I love In Real Life. This is really, really good. And then Friends with Boys is also really amazing. I really like first, second graphic novels, so those are always really good. And then Super Graphic, this is just a really interesting graphic novel visual guide to the comic book universe, so that's kind of fun. And then volume 1 and 2 of Persepolis by Marjane Satrapi. Amazing series. Also, like, if you're going to read Mouse, you might as well read Persepolis too, because they're both really, really good. Then I have the first 6 volumes of Saga. I love Saga. I haven't read it in a while though, and I really need to get the rest of the volumes, but it's so, so good. Alex and Ada is also really, really good. I really like Jonathan Luna's writing and art style. I think it's him that does the drawing, but I can't be sure if it's him or Sarah Vaughn. But either way, yeah, I really enjoy that series as well. It's also a really quick read. Watchmen and V for Vendetta by Alan Moore. I think I like V for Vendetta more as a graphic novel than a movie, but I definitely like the movie Watchmen better than the graphic novel. And then my copy of The Beatles by Bob Spitz. I have not read that yet because that is a massive book and I need to like tackle that bit by bit. And then this book on the very end here, The Beatles Lyrics, was given to me by my friends Megan and Krista for my birthday one year, which was very, very sweet of them. There are a couple more books on this shelf that were also given to me by my mom, the ones that look a little bit older. I haven't read all of these. I've read Pride and Prejudice, Anne Frank. I've read Phantom of the Opera, Where the Red Fern Grows, Hiroshima, The Shining, One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, and that's it. The other ones I have not read. Okay, another shelf that has kind of a mishmash of stuff. So I have my hardback copy of Ink Death, and this book called The Time in Between by Maria Dueñas. I'm probably saying her last name wrong, but another adult book that's really, really good and kind of intense. This pink thing here is just a journal that I wrote in and almost completely filled up the 2 times I went to London before I actually moved there. So there's a lot of really fun and interesting observations in there actually that I need to reread. And then this is the beautiful hardback editions of the Night World series that I have the bind-ups that I showed earlier, but I just love how all of these look together with the astrological stuff, and oh, it's just so gorgeous. I love these so much. And then it's kind of nice too to like read them one by one. And then this is an infographic guide to literature, so it's kind of like that super graphic one that I showed earlier. And then this book here is Church of Spies, and it's about Pope Pius, and he was the Pope when Hitler was in power, so I really need to read this because I think it will be really interesting. Okay, bear with me if the camera's a little shaky while I talk about this because I have to hold it down in this cramped little corner. So those 3 books on the left there are historical fiction, YA, kind of middle grade novels about some of the Tudors, and I read them when I was growing up and then got rid of, or I think I got them from the library or something, but I found them at a used bookstore like a month ago, so of course I had to get them. And then that Beastly book right there is by Alex Flynn. I really enjoyed that book growing up, and I don't know why, but I always remember that I bought that book from Borders before they went out of business. R.I.P. Borders. I miss them so much. But yeah, I really enjoyed that book. And then Perks of Being a Wallflower by Stephen Chbosky. I don't enjoy that book now as much as I did when I first read it. I'm not really sure why, but yeah, I mean, I read it back in high school, so obviously I've grown a lot since then. And then there's Tangerine by Edward Bloor. I love this book. When I was in middle school, I was on this like reading literature team, and we had to analyze this book backwards and forwards. And then we went to this competition with other schools, and we were quizzed on it and could, you know, win a prize or something. So it was kind of cool. These 3 books right here are the Downton Abbey complete scripts for seasons 1 through 3. What's really interesting about them as well is that the writer for the series, Julian Fellows, he also put in like a lot of footnotes and tidbits about the series throughout the books, so they're huge. They didn't do them for like seasons 4 through 6, so that's kind of disappointing. Babies in Black is a graphic novel about the Beatles and their time spent in Germany with Astrid Kirchherr and Stuart Sutcliffe. Really fun, interesting graphic novel if you're interested in anything about the Beatles, like before they really got super popular, so it's a really cute novel. That book above it is Queen Victoria, Personal History. I haven't read this one yet, but I just love anything about Queen Victoria, so I'll have to get to that one. And then this one, Rave On by Philip Norman, is a book about Buddy Holly. I'm totally obsessed with Buddy Holly, so that is a actually really good comprehensive book about him that I really enjoy. And then down here on the very last shelf at the very bottom are books from my childhood. So I'm not going to go through every single one because there are obviously quite a few, but I have like my original copies of Inkheart over here. This series over here is The Doll People, and it's such a cute series. I love it. Just other ones of note are like Matilda, that was like my favorite book growing up. Goodnight Moon, you know, incredible. Hoot by Carl Hiaasen, or Hiaasen, I'm not really sure how to say his name, is also really good. Little House on the Prairie, got some Goosebumps. My Father's Dragon series, which is really good right here. Yeah, there's just a lot. Like, I was kind of cleaning up this shelf the other day, and I was finding so many books that I was like, oh my god, I, remember so many of these. So yeah, these are all ones that I just couldn't bear to get rid of. Well, that is all of my books on all of my bookshelves. Congratulations if you've made it this far, honestly, because this is probably a super long video, but I hope you guys enjoyed. I really enjoyed filming it. It took a little while. I had to take a break and charge my camera and eat lunch, and yeah, there was a lot of talking. But anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this. If you want to see more videos like this, let me know, or any type of video, please let me know down in the comments below. I love filming, and I'm going to be home all summer, so I'm very excited to do other stuff. Otherwise, I will see you guys in the next video. Bye-bye!